Welcome to the Disrupt Your Career podcast, brought to you by Claire Harbour
and Antoine Tirant. We're passionate about helping everyone find fulfillment in their work life.
We believe that big, messy, uncharted career changes are inevitable, and it's up to you to decide.
Will you take control and disrupt, or allow yourself to be disrupted?
We wrote the book about it, and now we share here our conversations with other thinkers in this crucial area.
Settle down and get ready to listen to this dose of wisdom.
Hello, and welcome to this special Best of Disrupt Your Career episode. I'm Claire, and together with my co-host Antoine, we're thrilled to bring you some of the most inspiring career insights from our incredible 2025 guests.
Hi, everyone. As Claire said, we're excited to launch the second edition of our Best of series. Last year's compilation became one of our most downloaded episodes and received fantastic feedback, so we decided to do it again with several themed episodes, each highlighting the standout lessons from our amazing guests.
In this first installment, we focus on a topic close to many of our hearts: sustainable and meaningful careers. How can individuals design and navigate careers that not only deliver success, but also align with their values, provide balance, and evolve over time?
Over this past year, we've had the privilege of speaking with 12 outstanding guests: Naeema Pasha, Sheila Buswell, Michelle Prince, Irina Cozma, Peter Attfield, Courtis, Navid Nazemian, Stéphanie Daudier, Elizabeth Lotardo, Julia Milner, Celeste Warren, and Bridget Farrands. There are thought leaders, executives, coaches, authors, each bringing unique perspectives and lived experiences.
In this curated episode, you'll hear their most memorable advice and reflections. Stories of experimentation, resilience, reinvention, and the ongoing quest to build careers that matter.
Whether you're just starting out in your career, rethinking your path, or perhaps seeking ways to integrate work and life more meaningfully, this collection of voices will give you inspiration, clarity, and energy for the journey ahead.
To kick things off, let's zoom out and think about the big forces shaping our careers. Naeema Pasha has an insightful point about how change often creeps up on us before it suddenly feels overwhelming.
One of the things around the book is around technology coming in, but that fits into all the other kind of changes that we're having. What we talked about right at the beginning is that it can feel like change comes slow. You know, the whole thing changes slow and then it's fast. We talk about the waves of the sea coming in and you're kind of lapping around you and you're not realizing there's the changing world around you. Then suddenly, wham, you're up to your shoulders in the water. So that's one of the things that we said, is to kind of really consider every now and again the changes that are going on and think how we might adapt.
That image of being suddenly shoulder deep really resonates. And it reminds me that change isn't only external. It also comes from within when we spot a problem that no one else has solved. And Sheila Buswell illustrates this beautifully.
It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to start a business. I don't have the entrepreneurship spirit, but it was like, I identified a problem and a unique way to solve it. And my idea was, I'll just go work for who's ever solving it. And nobody was working on it. Nobody was solving it. So it wasn't a career disrupt at the time in my mind. Like, but it was like, oh, okay. If not me, then who? And then starting the business put me outside of my comfort zone. Like my comfort zone is a dot to me now.
I love that line. My comfort zone is a dot. And of course, these career questions often start even earlier, especially for younger generations under pressure to figure it all out. Michelle Prince offers a helpful perspective.
I see a lot right now with young people of feeling like they have to have some kind of intentional career path at such a young age. And I think some of that comes from the parents' expectations. You got a degree in this. So what are you going to do with that degree? And to your point, thinking about what you want to do or what you might be passionate about what are you really good at could start sooner. And for the young people themselves, really think about envisioning what your career could look like. And it doesn't have to be just one career path.
And sometimes it's reassuring to know you don't need the perfect answer from the start. That is something that Irina Cozma highlights.
I do end up coaching sometimes the young generation, and I see the struggle that they have to try to find the perfect answer, the final answer, the only answer. They put so much pressure on them, maybe themselves, maybe the family, the society, the school. Everybody is like, what is it? And I hope even from what we talked so far, you could see another human being that didn't have the answer, and the answer came along the way. And I started on different paths, and I'm still here. It was not the end of the world. I learned different things. You keep evolving and exploring and find things along the way.
Exactly. And as we evolve, our careers rarely move in straight lines. Sometimes you have to take sideways or even backwards steps. Peter Attfield explains this shift from the old career ladder to something more flexible.
There used to be such a thing as a career ladder. That's long gone. Firstly, people are not joining organizations for that long anyway, but this whole concept of what they call the career lattice sort of emerged, which is more like the jungle gym of sort of going up and sideways and down.
Yeah.
All of no, I think you need to be prepared to accept that you're probably going to have to sort of take one step backward to go forward again, or sideways, or whatever it might be. Particularly if you aspire to more senior roles. We're all living longer, and people are going to have to reinvent themselves when they're 60 or 70 or whatever it is. I don't think any of that advice with rocket science is probably the same as I would have got 10 years ago, but I still believe it's important.
That jungle gym image is so vivid, and it connects nicely to Neil Courtis' point, which is the best way to figure out what works for you is through experimentation.
And the thing that does work is experimenting and acting and trying out different sort of working identities. The danger is, as you know, you get stuck in this dead end of introspection, and you're not sort of almost anything, any activity in the real world, particularly networking. But you don't have to do something that radical to learn a massive amount about what might suit you.
Right. And careers aren't always carefully planned. Navid Nazemian admits his own journey wasn't a grand design, but more about following what felt right at the time.
I wish, Claire, I was that strategically foresighted 20 years ago to say, this is how I'm going to start my HR career at the pinnacle of it when I am announced as HR's most influential practitioner. I am going to step down. I will have an international best-selling book, and I will do what I love doing, which is just coaching and nothing else. I wish that was true. The real secret that I want to reveal today is it really didn't start like that. I really went in with what felt right for me at the time. And here comes my second little secret. Nobody wanted to give me a job in HR. And so, as the famous song from this rapper called Eminem says, it takes one chance, one opportunity. And that opportunity was given to me by a lady named Dania Frech.
And sometimes reflection comes later, after years in high-pressure roles. Stéphanie Daudier tells us how this forced her to reset.
When I arrived back in Paris, the job was not as attractive enough for me, or I was a little bit tired of pressure and tired of running after turnover and everything that is included in business. So we decided to split. After 25 years of mutual loyalty, I would say, we agreed that I would quit the company, and I had no plan. Zero. My network in Europe was quite small and not so lively. At first, I wanted to have the same job in another company. And my mom told me, Stéphanie, do you really want to have the same job, same pressure, same stress? Or is there any other way?
And for others, Burnout forces a radical career change and often a rediscovery of purpose. That was Elizabeth Lotardo's experience.
So I started out my career in advertising and marketing. I went to school studying advertising and psychology and liked it for a while. But after a time, I started to feel really burned out and transactional. I was selling Google AdWords. A lot of my conversations were talking about half a cent on a particular term. And I burned out really quickly, and the creativity and the relationships and the emotional part of that career that I love so much started to slip away from me. So I quit my job without much of a plan B. I had one small freelancing gig, and I went back to school to study organizational psychology. That lane embodied the creativity, the humanity, the relationships that I love so much in advertising, but enabled me to make more of an impact.
And of course, careers are not just about jobs. They're about the lives around them too. Julia Milner puts it very well.
You need to look into the lifestyle of your career or your job. And with lifestyle, I don't mean whether you can buy yourself the $1 million yacht or whatever it is. Lifestyle means, do you like the lifestyle of your job? So whether this is, shift work or working long hours or traveling a lot. And there might be different times in your life where you prefer one or the other, but always look at your lifestyle and the life as a whole, because at the end of the day, your career is one part of your life, but it is not your life, and it has to fit with all the other parts. And there are times in your career where maybe other things take priority, and it's coming back to what we discussed at the very beginning. Do often a value check-in. Your core values probably stay quite stable, but other values might change over time. For example, how much freedom or how much flexibility you want or need, or how much security you want, and so on. So I think that's very helpful to do that as well. That ties perfectly to Celeste Warren's message. Staying relevant is critical, but so is staying authentic.
One, you have to stay relevant. So keep up your skills, your capabilities. That's very important, because in this day and age, roles are changing. Jobs that exist today didn't exist even 5 or 10 years ago. Also, too, don't shy away from who you are and your identity. That's really, really important. And a lot of young people don't realize it. They think they have to mimic a C-suite leader and being smart and in having the skills and capabilities from their functional approach. But you have to also be able to bring your authentic self. And part of that is being able to look at a strategy or look at something and say, is that really going to meet the needs of this type of person or that type of customer or this person that's living here or has this lifestyle, or et cetera?
And finally, sometimes identity shifts come from life itself. Bridget Farrands shares how becoming a parent reshaped her career perspective.
One of the things that helped me was that I became pregnant with my first of 3 children, and that was itself a new identity. I mean, it's hardly a commercial identity to say I'm a new mother, but it did help me to sort of break, to some extent, the connection. And also, when I'd had my first child, I thought, this is wonderful to have a baby, but it is definitely not enough intellectually. So I need to do more than just be a mother. So I trained as a therapist, because it was something I could do in the evenings when my husband came home and looked after the baby. That combination was very helpful in enabling me to shift my identity into becoming a consultant.
What we heard today is that sustainable, meaningful careers don't come from just one formula. They come from experimenting, adapting, checking in with your values, and embracing life's changes.
Exactly. And hopefully these stories will inspire you to reflect on your own path and what makes it meaningful for you. Thank you and goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed hearing from this month's guest as much as we did.
Do go and check out our work on disrupt-your-career.com and come back soon. Thank you.